I shamelessly flirted with his boss at the office party. He quit and left me. Hi, Reddit. My name's Celine, and yeah, I messed up bad. I won't sugarcoat it. I ruined my relationship of 4 years, and I don't even know how to start over again. This happened 2 weeks ago, and honestly, it still doesn't feel real. Some mornings I wake up and reach for my phone to text him before I remember. I keep replaying the whole night in my head, like if I could rewind it enough times, I could change the ending. But I can't. My boyfriend, ex, Nathan, worked at this mid-sized tech company. Nothing fancy, but he really liked the job. He always talked about how he felt respected there, like he was actually being seen and recognized for his hard work. He wasn't some executive or anything, just a project lead, but he was proud of what he did. I liked seeing him like that, confident and focused. Anyway, they had this annual office party. I'd never gone before. I usually make some excuse. Headache, too tired. Networking isn't my thing. But this time, Nathan really wanted me to come. He kept saying how he'd love to introduce me to his coworkers. He even bought me a new dress, said I'd look effortlessly hot in it, which made me laugh because he knows I hate trying too hard. So I said yes. I had to be there with him. We were going to get married soon. He'd been talking about it a lot lately, building a life together, starting a family. So eventually, I was going to meet everyone anyway. I figured, why not now? And also because I wanted to prove something. I wanted to finally show up for him in a way I hadn't before. And I wanted to feel part of his world, not just the person he came home to. He was so excited when I agreed. And before we left for the party, I remember looking in the mirror that night thinking, maybe this is the start of something. I didn't know it would be the beginning of the end. We got there, and the vibe was chill. It wasn't like some boring banquet, more like a rooftop mixer. Drinks were making the rounds, and everyone was in a good mood. Nathan looked so happy walking me around, introducing me to people, casually putting his hand on my waist like he was showing me off. He wanted people to finally meet the woman he was going to spend his life with. I wasn't just some girlfriend anymore. I was his person. And I was proud to be there with him, really. People kept telling me how lucky Nathan was. His coworkers smiled like they'd heard about me before, like he'd actually talked about me and told stories. It was weirdly sweet. He kept checking in with me, brushing hair off my shoulder, asking if I needed a refill. I don't think I'd seen him that happy in weeks. I should have felt grounded in that, safe. But instead, I think I felt watched, like I had to perform. Then I met his boss, Darren. That man was a walking ego, probably mid-40s, salt and pepper hair, Rolex peeking out of his cuff. He talked like every word deserved applause. He called Nathan his guy, like he owned him. He looked me up and down when we shook hands, not even subtly. I noticed it, and I didn't say anything. I didn't even flinch, and I wasn't even uncomfortable. More like I was curious. Flattered? I don't know. I think that's where the line started to blur. And I feel in that moment, I like the feeling that came with it. I don't even know what came over me. I wasn't drunk. I'd only had one drink by then. But something about the way Darren talked like he ran the room, like he could hand out promotions with a wink, made me start leaning in more, laughing harder, and smiling like I was on a damn audition. I think Nathan noticed. Of course he did, because he got quiet. He started doing that thing where he half smiles, but his eyes don't match. Like he's still trying to be polite, trying to keep the mood light. But you can feel him pulling away. I felt like I was imagining it, that he was just tired, that I wasn't doing anything wrong. But the truth is, I felt it. I felt the shift in him, and I ignored it anyway, because I told myself it was in my head. But every time Darren made a comment and I tossed one back, I could feel Nathan tense next to me, and I still didn't stop. In fact, I think I leaned into it more. I started twirling my glass, tucking my hair behind my ear. That stupid subconscious body language girls use when we want to be noticed. And what made it worse is looking back, it wasn't even about Darren. It wasn't even flirting because I liked him. I didn't. I actually thought he was kind of slimy. But I liked the attention. That's the part I hate admitting the most. I liked being the one in the spotlight. I liked that people were watching. I liked the feeling of power. I liked that his boss, this important man in Nathan's life, was paying attention to me. That he was looking at me like I was something rare. I felt wanted, and I liked that more than I should have. At one point, Nathan stepped away to talk to one of his coworkers. Darren asked if I wanted a drink. I said sure. He came back with two, and instead of handing it to me directly, he touched my hand. Just lightly, too lightly, you know what I mean? It was one of those touches you pretend not to notice in public, especially at your boyfriend's work thing. Quick, barely there, but enough to spark something. I didn't move my hand. I let it stay there a little too long, like maybe I wanted him to get the wrong idea, or because I wanted to feel like I still had that kind of effect on someone. I let it linger a little longer than I should have. It was stupid, but I did, and I smiled, and definitely not a friendly smile, a knowing one. It was that specific smile I've given before when I wanted attention, when I wanted to feel like I had the upper hand. I don't know why I did it this time, but I knew exactly what I was doing. Nathan saw that part. He came back right as I was laughing at something Darren said, something dumb too. I don't even remember it. Something about golf? Or someone's tie? I don't know, but my head was tilted, my eyes were wide, and I looked like I was enjoying every second of it. And that's when I saw Nathan's face. I saw his face. It wasn't angry, not yet. It felt colder, though it was quiet, calm, and still, the kind of still people get when they're checking out emotionally before they even say a word. Then something bad happened, I think 2 hours into the party. Everyone had loosened up. The lights were low, music was pulsing just enough to drown out guilt, and I was buzzed, but not enough to blame it on the alcohol. Nathan had stepped away to help someone load a presentation onto a screen, and that's when Darren, his boss, slid beside me again. He'd been circling me all night like a hawk, pretending to be polite. "You look dangerous in that dress," he said. I should have walked away, but I didn't. I laughed and said something stupid like, "Only if you play with fire." He smiled, tight, smug kind, and nodded toward the hallway that led to the private offices. "Come show me your dangerous side." To be sincere, I don't know what possessed me, because I'm normally not this person. I think maybe I wanted to feel desired. I guess I wanted to test Nathan. Or it could be I was just that careless. But one I do know is that I love the feeling of being craved by Nathan's boss. There was something addictive about it, and I guess that's what pushed me into giving in. So I followed him. We ended up in some copy room or sort of a break area near the back of the hall. It had glass walls, but the lights were dimmed, and we were half hidden behind one of those oversized fake plants someone probably thought made the place look fancy. The music from the party was still pounding, bass heavy, distant, but it felt like we were in a different world back there. People were dancing, drinking, trying to outdo each other with shots. No one was really paying attention, except Darren. He was paying attention to me, and I let him. His hand brushed my hip, slow, careful, almost like he was testing the water. It wasn't aggressive, and it wasn't obvious, but just enough to make it clear, and I didn't move away. I didn't say anything. I just let it happen. Then he leaned in close and said something about how Nathan was lucky, asked if we were serious. His hand was on my lower back now. Then it dropped to my hip. I didn't stop him right away. He leaned even closer. "You sure he's the right one for you? You could do better." I froze, and not because I was scared or conflicted. I just didn't know what to do. I wasn't flattered, I wasn't flirty, I was just there, letting it happen for 3 seconds too long, 3 seconds that rewrote my entire relationship. Then somehow, it progressed into kissing. I don't even remember who leaned in first. 1 second we were talking, and the next, his mouth was on mine. It went from mild to intense in seconds, and the next thing, his mouth was already on my breast while his hand was in my underwear. I didn't even stop him when his hand slid beneath my underwear. Instead, I was moaning loudly without any regret and without thinking of my boyfriend. And that's when I heard the door open. It was Nathan. He didn't barge in or yell at the sight of us. He just stood there by the door without making a sound. His eyes moved from me to Darren's hand under my dress. Darren stepped back like he'd been electrocuted. But it was too late. Nathan saw everything. Nathan didn't say a word. He looked me dead in the eye, nodded once like he finally understood everything, then turned and walked away. I didn't chase him. I stood there like an idiot, with my heart thumping, wishing I could erase the last 10 minutes and go back to the part where I was still someone worth trusting. I felt this weird silence settle around me, like the party noise had gone underwater. People were still dancing, laughing, drinking, but my body had gone cold. My face was hot, but everything else felt frozen. I didn't even move when Darren pulled his hand back. It was like I wasn't in my body anymore. Darren cleared his throat, muttered something like, "That didn't mean anything, right?" That line made me want to throw up. I didn't even answer. I just turned and stared at the door Nathan had disappeared through. The shame didn't hit all at once. It crept in slowly like a fever, and I felt sick. It was over. And not just the party, the relationship, me and Nathan. I knew it the second he walked away. Nathan was a no-nonsense man. He wasn't the kind of man who would settle calmly after what he just saw. I knew that, and that thought burned me brutally. And what made it worse was that I didn't even fight for him in that moment. I didn't run after him. I didn't scream or explain or cry. I just stood there, like I deserved to be left behind. When I finally managed to gather strength to dismiss my shame, I rejoined the party, so I could talk to Nathan and defend myself, praying and hoping it wasn't too late and he hasn't done anything funny, but he was nowhere to be found. I scanned the crowd, checked the bar, even peeked out on the rooftop, but nothing. He was just gone. And that's when I realized he had gone back home. That's when I hurried home. When I got there, my stuff was already packed and sitting outside. It was just there. My clothes, shoes, even the stupid mug I always used for tea, all shoved into trash bags like they didn't mean anything. It felt weirdly violent, even though nothing was broken, like he was trying to erase me neatly. I was mad. He didn't even give me a chance to defend myself or speak about what he thought he saw before throwing everything out. I couldn't believe he was really going to end our relationship just like that. Everyone deserves a second chance, doesn't they? Especially after 4 years. Especially after everything we'd been through together. I banged on the door. He opened it and looked at me like I was a stranger. It wasn't an angry or emotional look, but just very cold, like I wasn't even worth raising his voice for. That cut me deeper than his yelling ever could. He asked what I wanted from him. I told him I didn't understand why my things were outside. He said, "You wanted to be outside, so I decided to support your decision wholeheartedly." I stared at him like he was speaking a different language. That line slammed me harder than I expected. Like it wasn't just sarcasm, it was the final decision. I said again that I didn't understand. That's when he shouted, "Don't you dare pretend like you don't know what you did." But I still played dumb. I told him I was just being friendly and didn't expect his boss to take things that far, that I was caught off guard and didn't mean for it to happen. He laughed, just once, but there was no humor in it. "Friendly?" he said. "You basically I-fucked my boss in front of the entire team. Then you decided to make it real. Well, you made your choice, go live with it. You wanted my boss so badly? Pack your things and go be with him. We were done the moment you decided you were that easy and accessible to anyone." I tried to explain that it wasn't that serious. I said Darren was just being overly friendly and that people flirt all the time. It doesn't mean anything. Then Nathan said that what he saw was more than flirting and that it meant something because I moaned. That was the part that broke him, I think. That I meant it, that I enjoyed it, that I didn't care how it made him feel in the moment. I wanted to explain more, to make him truly understand it wasn't what it looked like, that it didn't mean anything. But those words felt flimsy now, hollow and cheap, and even if I said them, they wouldn't matter, because I had stood there. I had let his boss touch me. I had let myself enjoy every bit of it, and Nathan wasn't having any of my words. Then he shut the door, and no matter how hard I banged or cried, he didn't open. I cried and cried, right there on his front porch, but the door stayed closed. He knew I had nowhere to go. I've lived with him for 4 years. 4 years of my life, with him. I couldn't believe what was happening. Just a few days ago, we were talking about marriage and our future together, and now he'd decided he was done, with no actual conversation and no backup plan. I have no job. He knows that. So how does he expect me to just pick up and go about my life like nothing happened? It felt like I was being thrown out of my own world. I was beyond devastated. When the tears finally dried, I gathered what strength I had left, packed up my stuff, and dragged myself over to a friend's place. She barely welcomed me, but I stayed, because I had nowhere else to go. Still, in my mind, I kept thinking, Maybe Nathan was just angry, and once he cooled down, he'd reach out. There's no way he wouldn't miss me. I've been part of his life for years. He can't just erase me in a single day. He can't make a firm decision like that in the heat of the moment. I sat on the couch for hours, scrolling through our texts. The "can't wait to see you tonight" he sent just before the party. The "love you always" from last Tuesday. I kept thinking, did those words mean nothing to him now? Or did I just rip the meaning out of them? I couldn't even sleep that night. I tossed and turned, thinking of ways to reach him. He wasn't answering any of my calls or texts. I knew showing up at the house again wouldn't work, so I told myself I'll go to his workplace. At least there, he couldn't avoid me. But when I got there, I found out he had already quit. I was shocked. He quit without a scene and no fight with his boss. That stupid man that ruined us. He should have taught him a lesson, but he did nothing. He just walked away without even trying to fix a thing. Honestly, I was a bit disappointed. I expected him to fight, to fix it. But he didn't. He just gave up. Well, that's his choice now. He decided what's best for him, and there's nothing I can do about that. In that sense, I decided to go to his house again because where else would he go after quitting? I wanted to talk some sense into him, maybe get him to calm down, maybe even convince him to go back to work, and somehow get his boss sacked. But when I got there, the place was locked. Later, I heard he had traveled. A few days after that, I heard a different story. He had moved out. Moved out? How? I was broken. What was I supposed to do with my life without him? I only had a few days left at my friend's place. He left me with no money, no plan, and no closure. Nothing. I tried calling him, but his number wasn't going through. I checked all his socials, Instagram, LinkedIn, even that old Facebook account he never used. Still nothing. There were no updates, no sign of life. This broke me, and I'm still breaking. That was it. The end. The end of something I'd ruined in a single room, in a single moment, with a single choice I couldn't take back. How do I move on from this? How do I fix something when the other person's already disappeared? How do I mend us when I'm the only one left here? Update. Hi again. I didn't expect so many people to read the first post. Honestly, I posted it because I needed to get it off my chest, and my friends were too nice to call me out the way I deserved. Reddit did not have that problem. Some of the responses hit hard, but I appreciated the honesty. So here's where things stand now. It's been 3.5 weeks since Nathan disappeared from my life. That sounds dramatic, but I don't know any other way to say it. He's gone. He still hasn't reached out. Not even once. Not even a text. No accidental likes or no mutual friends slipping up and saying something. He gave me nothing. The little money I had ran out quicker than I thought it would. At first, I tried to stretch what I had. Cheap noodles, skipping meals, using the free trial periods of every app that offered one. But it didn't take long before reality hit. I had nothing. No job, no backup savings, and no family I could call. I applied for anything: customer service, admin, even a cleaning job at a hotel. Half the time, I didn't even get a rejection email, just silence. The few interviews I managed to get didn't go anywhere once they asked about gaps in my resume or why I left my last position. I was honest a couple of times, but people don't really care about heartbreak. They care about reliability. Eventually, I had to take out a loan just to survive. It's not a fancy bank loan either, one of those shady instant loan apps with interest rates that climb by the hour. I hated myself for doing it. Every time I saw the deduction alert, I felt like I was being punished. And the most heartbreaking part is Nathan knew. He knew my life would be a disaster without him. He knew how dependent I'd been on him. He knew I didn't have support, didn't have family to fall back on. He knew how hard it would be for me to survive without him, and he left anyway. No help, no message, no, "Are you okay?" Not even a damn transfer to hold me over. I hated him for that. And not because he left, but because he watched me drown from wherever he's hiding and didn't even blink. Still, even with that hate bubbling inside me, I couldn't stop hoping he'd show up one day, that maybe he'd ask how I've been, that he'd feel a little guilty, that he'd at least miss me. But he didn't. And every day I stayed broke, hungry, and invisible, I hated myself a little more for still caring. I waited. I cried. I held on to the idea that he was just mad and needed space. That perhaps after a while the memories would hit him like they were hitting me and he'd come back. But it didn't happen. He didn't reach out. And now I'm starting to believe He won't. Ever. I've been sleeping on a couch that isn't mine, living out of a duffel bag, refreshing his socials like an idiot. At first, I felt abandoned. I told myself he was rash, that he overreacted, that 4 years couldn't be erased just because I made one mistake. But now I get it. I didn't just make a mistake. I chose to flirt. I chose not to stop it. I chose my ego in a moment where he needed my loyalty, and even if I didn't mean to ruin us, I still did. That moment cost me everything. And he didn't disappear. He protected his peace. He chose peace over closure, and I understand it better now. That was his way of taking back his power. I've been thinking a lot about why I did what I did, and here's what I've realized. I liked being the one people noticed. That wasn't new. But I used to earn that attention, with my past work, my humor, my own presence. That night, I leaned on someone else's power to feel relevant, someone I didn't even respect. That says more about where I was mentally than anything else. I've booked a therapy session. First one's next Monday. I'm not expecting Nathan to come back. I wouldn't if I were him. But I don't want to be the version of me that made that choice ever again. That's all I can do right now. Anyway, thanks for listening, even if most of you roasted me. I kind of deserved it. If you're still with someone good, someone kind, someone who believes in you, please, don't make them prove your worth for you. Do that work yourself. I wish I had.